Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're tackling something really core to financial health. Creating a monthly budget that actually works for you.
Mm-hmm.
We're aiming to go beyond just, tracking numbers.
Absolutely. It's about getting to the heart of making a budget that gives you real control, right?
Exactly. We know the word budget can sometimes feel a bit restrictive, maybe intimidating.
Yeah, it definitely can. But the sources we've looked at, they really frame it differently. It's more about making conscious choices with your money.
Aligning spending with what actually matters.
Precisely. And we want to make that whole process feel simpler, more practical today. Maybe even, dare I say, engaging.
Let's aim for that. So if you've ever felt like your money just vanishes, or if budgeting seems like this huge, complex thing.
You're definitely in the right place.
Yeah. Our mission for this deep dive is pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Give you a clear, step-by-step guide.
So you can feel confident managing your finances.
And actually start working towards those big financial goals you might have.
Okay, so let's dive in. I think the first big question that kept popping up in the material was, well, why? Why is budgeting so important in the first place?
Good question. Fundamentally, a budget is really just a plan for your money, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're deciding up front how much you're going to spend here, how much you're going to save there. It's about being proactive.
Exactly. Being proactive. The sources really hammer this home. Without that plan, you're mostly just reacting after the money's already gone.
Mm-hmm. Which often means wondering where it all went.
Right. A budget puts you in charge. You're guiding the money, not the other way around. Making informed choices instead of, feeling like your spending dictates things.
And it's so easy for those little expenses to just add up, isn't it, when you don't have that clear picture?
Oh, totally. Some of the data we saw highlighted that. The sort of untracked small purchases, they can be a major drain for a lot of people.
It's the death by a thousand cuts, financially speaking.
Yeah. And another thing that came through strongly was this idea of peace of mind.
Ah, yes. That's huge.
It really is. When you have a solid budget, you know your bills are covered, you know you're putting something toward your goals, it just reduces that financial stress.
Less living paycheck to paycheck, hopefully.
Exactly. That constant worry starts to fade. Several sources really underscored that link between budgeting and reduced anxiety.
And thinking bigger picture, like building wealth or maybe tackling debt or just feeling financially secure.
Yeah.
The material makes it pretty clear. A good budget isn't just like a helpful tool. It's the foundation.
It's essential. Everything else kind of builds on that. Okay, so we get the why. What about the how? Where do we start?
Right. The first practical step, consistently pointed out, is getting a really clear picture of where you stand right now.
Assessing your income and your expenses.
Exactly. First up, income. You need to figure out your total monthly income. Everything.
Not just the main paycheck.
No, definitely not. Salary? Yes, but also any side hustles, maybe investment income, freelance work, selling stuff online.
Even if it's irregular.
Especially if it's irregular, you got to account for it all. Maybe average it out if you need to.
The key word from the research seems to be comprehensive. Don't guess. Don't overlook anything. Get the real number.
Okay, so once you've got a solid handle on what's coming in, then comes the maybe less fun part for some.
Tracking expenses.
Tracking expenses meticulously. Documenting everything that goes out.
Rent, mortgage, utilities. The big stuff first.
Yeah, and then groceries, transport, insurance, debt payments.
And the coffees, the lunches out, the subscriptions, the entertainment, everything.
This is often where the surprises happen, right? Those aha moments the studies mention.
Definitely. People often think they know where their money goes, but actually tracking it, it can be eye-opening.
Like realizing just how much you spend on takeout, for example.
That was a classic example in one article. Seeing that total number for the month can be a real wake-up call.
But that awareness, that's the critical first step, isn't it? Before you can make any changes.
Absolutely. You need that baseline. So after you've done this assessment income in, expenses out, you have a much clearer map of your current financial situation.
Which sets the stage perfectly for the next crucial step.
Setting clear financial goals.
Right. This is where the budget gets its purpose, its motivation. Why is defining these goals so important?
Well, think of it this way. The budget is the car, right?
Okay.
The goals are where you're actually trying to go. Without a destination, you're just driving around.
Just crunching numbers without a point.
Exactly. Setting specific goals, maybe saving for a down payment, maybe paying off that student loan, building an emergency fund, planning a big trip. Whatever it is for you.
That gives the budget meaning.
It provides the why behind the numbers. And it makes making choices easier.
Yeah, when you have that goal in mind, that house, that debt-free feeling,
Yeah.
it's easier to say no to something else, maybe.
Definitely. It makes potential sacrifices feel worthwhile because you see what you're working towards.
The sources also mentioned being realistic here, though.
Oh, absolutely critical. You have to look at your resources and prioritize. Maybe you can't save for a luxury cruise and aggressively pay down credit card debt at the same time.
You might need to pick one or find a balance.
Right. That prioritization is key. Setting realistic, achievable goals based on your current income and expenses.
So once you've figured out those goals, you know roughly how much you need to set aside each month for them.
And that feeds directly into how you structure the budget itself.
Which brings us neatly to step 3.
Step 3, creating your budget categories. Organizing the plan.
Okay, so categories. These are basically the buckets you sort your spending into.
That's a good way to put it. Yeah, different classifications for where your money goes.
What are some common ones we saw?
Well, the big ones are usually housing rent or mortgage, taxes, insurance, utilities, electricity, water, internet, transportation car stuff, public transit, food, groceries, maybe dining out separately. Then things like healthcare, insurance payments, definitely debt payments, savings goals, personal care, entertainment. It varies a bit person to person.
I noticed some materials really stressed putting the must-haves first.
Yes, that's the recommended approach. Start with your fixed expenses, the things that cost roughly the same each month, like rent or loan payments. Lock those in.
Get the essentials covered.
Exactly. Then, with what's left, you allocate money to your variable categories, groceries, gas, entertainment, and, crucially, those goal categories like savings or extra debt payments.
And the cool thing is, these categories aren't set in stone, right? They should fit your life.
Totally flexible. If you love to travel, maybe you have a bigger travel fund and cut back a bit on eating out, or vice versa.
It's about making it personal, making it work for your priorities and your goals.
Precisely. It's your roadmap. Okay, so you've set up these categories, but just having them isn't enough, is it?
No way.
Yeah.
This next step is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak.
Tracking your spending consistently.
Yes. This is how you know if the plan is actually working. Without tracking, that beautiful budget is just theory.
It doesn't give you the feedback you need. So how do people actually do this effectively?
Well, the key, according to everything we read, is consistency. Finding a method and sticking to it.
And there are options, right? Technology helps a lot here.
Definitely. Budgeting apps are huge now. Things like Mint, YNAB. You can link your accounts, transactions get pulled in automatically, categorized.
Makes it pretty seamless. You can just check your phone and see, okay, how much is left in the groceries bucket.
Super convenient. But, apps aren't for everyone. What about lower tech methods?
Still totally valid. Spreadsheets are a classic for a reason. Set up columns for date, item, category, amount. Works great if you're diligent.
Or even just a notebook.
Absolutely. Some people find the physical act of writing it down helps it stick. The tool itself matters less than the habit of actually doing it.
Okay, so you're tracking. How often should you be, checking in on it?
The consensus seems to be weekly at minimum.
Weekly. Okay.
Yeah, a quick check-in lets you see if you're staying on track in each category. Catch any overspending early before it snowballs.
And make sure things are categorized right, especially if you're using an app that tries to guess.
Good point. And really importantly, don't get discouraged if you do overspend sometimes.
It happens, right?
It absolutely happens. It's normal. The key is to just see why it happened and then adjust for the next month. Maybe you need to shift funds from another category or tweak the budget itself.
It's a learning process, not about perfection.
Exactly. It's iterative, which leads perfectly into the final step.
Reviewing and adjusting.
Yes. This isn't a set it and forget it kind of thing.
That's such a crucial point. Your budget needs to live and breathe with your life.
Absolutely. Life changes. Your income might go up or down.
You might get a raise or change jobs.
Exactly. Or you might have unexpected expenses, pop-up car repair, medical bill.
Or your goals might change. You might decide you want to save more aggressively for retirement or pay off debt faster.
All those things mean your budget needs a tune-up. It needs to stay flexible and adapt.
So it's not a one-time chore you do in January and then ignore.
Definitely not. You need to plan regular reviews, maybe monthly, maybe quarterly, just to check. Does this still make sense? Is it still helping me reach my goal?
Keeping it aligned with your current reality and future plans.
That's the goal, a dynamic roadmap that evolves with you.
Okay, great. So let's quickly recap those 5 key steps we've walked through.
Let's do it.
First, assess. Know your income, know your expenses, get that clear baseline.
Second, set goals. Give your budget purpose. Know what you're aiming for.
Third, create categories.
Hmm.
Organize your spending plan based on your life and priorities.
Fourth, track consistently. Keep tabs on where the money is actually going. Use an app, a spreadsheet, whatever works.
And fifth, review and adjust regularly. Keep your budget relevant and flexible as life changes.
Nailed it. And it's worth repeating. This takes time. Building that budgeting muscle, making it a habit, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
For sure. There will be months it doesn't go perfectly.
And that's okay. The important thing is to stick with it, learn from it, and keep refining the process.
Because the payoff, that feeling of control of knowing where your money is going and making progress towards your goals, that's really powerful.
It truly is. That confidence is invaluable.
So maybe a final thought for everyone listening as they think about these steps.
Yeah.
Which one of these 5 steps, assessing, goal setting, categorizing, tracking, or adjusting, do you think might be the trickiest for you personally? And maybe, just maybe, why might that be the case?
Ooh, good question for self-reflection. Thinking about those potential roadblocks up front could be really helpful as you start building that budget that truly works.